All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Carlos Tedeschi-Ortiz, and I'm here to help out a friend of mine who is from the Long Branch Public Library. Asked me to do a video about how to start your own podcast. I've got some information for those of you that are looking into potentially starting your own podcast. So there's a few steps to this. It's not very difficult. I'm mainly going to focus on today the equipment that you need in order to start your podcast. So that's what I'm focused on. That's what this is about. If you have questions, you can contact me either through Long Branch Public Library, or you can find me on Instagram at my podcast, which is called NYC Therapy. So equipment needed in order to start your own podcast is kind of simple. There's a lot of different things on the market that you can buy. I'll show you the research that I did and the equipment that I got that I found was going to help me with my podcast. Okay, so first off, I think mics are the big thing to talk about. So I got these shotgun mics here. It looks like this without the cover. This is basically the foam that goes over the mic itself, and then there's a plug piece that goes into it. Now, this brand here is Marinense Professional. It's a shotgun mic, and what makes this mic unique is that the way that it is built is so that the microphone is really right here. So if you're in a place where there's a lot of noise or even a bit of noise, they usually use these a lot when they're shooting on the street, so that it only picks up what's directly being spoken into the front of the mic. So it's very important that that part of the mic is in front of the speaker, like that. So all this other outside noise coming in won't come into the mic and won't interfere with your podcast. So that's the microphone that I got. I got two of these. It was myself and another host on my podcast, so we needed two mics, and that's the one that I chose to use. If you're doing a podcast by yourself and you don't have a co-host or anything like that, you can use a USB mic. I also have one of these. I didn't really use it. It's a pretty good mic. Apogee, I believe, is the name and the brand of it. You can see exactly which one that is. It's a USB mic. So you can do your own recordings yourself, whether you're doing voiceover work or doing your own podcast where you are your own host. Now, what makes this one really good is because it's a USB, it can plug directly into your computer, and you don't have to worry about that, about basically having like a receiver to help your mic connect to your computer so that you can record the audio that's happening. Another one that I got is this guy here. I hope that's not upside down. Also a USB mic. Both of them are pretty great. But I didn't really end up using these, so I won't even get into that. But if you're doing a podcast where you're by yourself, you can look into getting a USB mic, and you don't need something like this that's a shotgun mic for yourself. These also have attachments so that you can attach it to a wall or a table or whatever. Lots of different kinds, so keep that in mind. You don't have to hold it. It's probably better if you don't hold the mic while you're doing your podcast. But anyways, that's the mic that I use. You need a pair of headphones, pretty good headphones. These are the ones that I got. It's by Audio Tech. I think most of this stuff I got on Amazon. If I didn't get on Amazon, I got it at like an audio store of some sort. I can't remember. So this is the headphones that I used. Decent pair of headphones. I can't remember exactly how much the mics were. I want to say, I don't even want to tell you because I think it could be completely off. I want to say it was around $79 for a microphone, the shotgun mic that is, and I can't remember how much these were either, so I'm sorry about that. But you can look them up. It's Audio Tech. These are the headphones that I use. They're really great, flexible. They come with a little bag. You can put them in and store them if you need. So that's your headphones. That's your microphone. And for the microphone that I got, which I just told you about, I used that because, like I said, there was myself and another host hosting my NYC Therapy podcast, and I needed a receiver, and I got this Focusrite Scarlett receiver. So one of the mics ends up plugging in here, and the other mic ends up plugging in here. So basically what this does is it helps both of you to be able to host the podcast They both plug in, and then this itself plugs in, which comes with it. It's this plug here. It plugs directly into your computer so that you can record the audio that you guys are speaking into your shotgun mics. It's super helpful. It helps just with the sound, the volume, so you're not doing a ton of stuff in editing. I'm not super informative, I would say, about editing per se, but it can be as great or as raw as you'd like it. If you want to check out my podcast, it's NYC Therapy, and you can listen to that and you can see the sound and the quality. I didn't end up doing a ton. I did have some help from a great client of mine who helped me with the editing, but from what I understand, it wasn't that difficult because of the tools that I had itself. So you need one of these if you're going to have, to my knowledge, if you're going to have two people hosting the podcast, you need two separate mics. You could use one mic, but it's going to be very difficult because the mouths of the mic are very particular to the direction of which your mouth is while you're speaking into it. So probably best to use two mics. Get one of these. I want to say that this was just around $225 and I got it on Amazon. So it's a little pricey. I know that there are other ones out there, but this is the one that I ended up using. Also recommended to me by the client of mine who helped me with the editing in itself. So you need one of these, okay? You can find some different ones on the market. They really, really help, and that's that. So once you got your microphones selected on what you're gonna use, one last thing, really quickly. So because of the headphones that I chose to use to plug into here so I can hear us in the audio, I needed to use, this is the standard male piece that came with attached to the headphones. You need an attachment, also male piece. It's basically just a bit bigger to fit into here. So that's just a side note. Don't forget that. You need that. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Once you've selected your microphones that you're going to use for your podcast, and once you've selected the headphones that you're going to use and the amp or receiver that you're going to use, then you're pretty much all set. You, at that point, have to figure out who's going to host your podcast. Like what site is going to host your podcast so that it can upload each episode or your, whatever you want to call it, your podcast onto other platforms where people can hear it. I myself used a website called Buzzsprout. That's BUZZSPROUT, buzzsprout.com. They do lots of different things, and they have different plans. They'll host up to 2 hours a month for free. If you want to, it depends on how long your podcast is going to be, how often you're going to upload podcast, etc. I was doing once a week, and therefore I needed a bit more time. My podcasts were about 45 minutes to an hour is what I was shooting for. So I was able to get a plan that was $18 a month. And at the time it was 10 hours, I believe, that it hosted, but now I'm looking online and it says that it's 6 hours. So up to 6 hours a month, it will host for $18 a month. So depending on how much, and they have one as much as $24 a month for 12 hours of hosting time. So it depends on how much you're gonna podcast and how much you need to upload. You can check that out. I'm sure there are other companies out there. I do know that you could also do it on SoundCloud. A friend of mine that has a podcast did it on SoundCloud. So check that out. See if it's free. You might have to do a little bit more work. The good thing about the Buzzsprout website is it basically uploads once you hit go. You can set a calendar or a time to shoot your episode to both iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher if you're an Android user, Apple Play. I might have already said iTunes, but so it will upload to all those at the exact same time that you schedule it, whether you're doing it that day or you have it on a rotating schedule. So you can do that with Buzzsprout. I don't know if SoundCloud does that, but they might. Look into other ones. This one works really well. I know that, and it's consistent. It also has some other editing features and things like that you can check out. So check out buzzsprout.com. They're not paying me or anything. Neither is anybody else that I've mentioned here. This is just the products and information that I use in order to do my NYC Therapy podcast. So check that out. I would say that's pretty much it. I mean, as far as editing what you end up uploading, I used GarageBand on my Apple computer to do all the editing. You can do it all there. That's what it's for. I'm sure there are other editing sites, but if you have an Apple computer, you're in luck. Usually GarageBand comes with it and you can do all your audio editing on there and upload your podcast. One thing I'm forgetting actually with Buzzsprout, I think that there is like an approval process, just side note for you to go through when you are trying to upload to like iTunes and Spotify and Pandora and Stitcher, etc. You have to submit your podcast audio, I think at least the first one, if I'm not mistaken, and they basically need to listen and make sure you're not spewing any hate, via your podcast or anything that their platforms do not agree with. So I want to say it's like as quick as 3 days, but as long as 10 days. So just to forecast your podcast timing when you want to start your podcast, upload it, and have it be available for your listeners. Keep that in mind. Obviously, getting these other tools that you may need is really up to you and your resources and how quick you decide on what you want to use. I'm not going to get into like how to develop your marketing or how to develop your name or target audience in this video. There may or may not be another video. I don't really know. This is my first one. I'm just helping a friend at the Long Branch Public Library as a resource for you guys to try to get your podcast started. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys and girls, and good luck to getting your podcast started. And thank you so much. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Keisha. Thank you, Long Branch Public Library. I appreciate you guys, and good luck. Take care.